Everybody, good morning, everybody. You are in this listening to this kind of webinar. If you have been asked and you have accepted to be a reviewer for a new type of grant that we have initiated. So I thought I'll speak to you about this grant and then give you the chance to ask any questions.
Actually 54 ने ज्वाइन कर लिया, 43 54
वहां तो 7 वहां कोई YouTube पे सुन रहा है हमारा बंदा?
हाँ बिल्कुल सर, हमारी सारी टीम YouTube पे
सुनाई दे रहा है। एक मिनट बोलता हूँ, इनको सुनाई दे रहा है।
Can you listen to me, the team? Dr. Gunjan?
Okay now, sir.
Okay,
yeah.
Can you? Okay, I think, okay, now it's fine. The technical issues have been resolved. I'll repeat. Good morning. You are all here because you have agreed to be a reviewer for proposals that we have received. आप या तो बैठ जाइए या बाहर बैठिए, हाँ, ये खड़े अंदर बाहर proposals that you have received for a new type of grant. And this new type of grant, I wanted to just tell you myself what it is, what it means, and so that you can take better decisions when it comes to your scoring or evaluation of these proposals. We have all our schemes, as you know, small grant schemes, intermediate or Anveshan grants, Nischay Anveshan grants, Centers for Advanced Research, First in the World Challenge, National Health Priority grants. But this is something we have added, something special and different. And the purpose is to elevate or to contribute to the elevation of global ranking of Indian institutions. And we decided that, of course, we do not have infinite money. We have small amounts of money to inject. But normally when I do these things, when I think about these issues, like I'll give you the alternate example. When we thought about the First in the World Challenge, we did not think that this will lead to we can fund everything first in the world in the country, or it will lead to 500 new products in India first in the world immediately. However, it serves and is serving two purposes. One, it has given an instrument for high risk, high reward type of funding, and we are learning how to do that. The second thing it did is the message to Indian researchers that we can be first in the world, and government will put in money. ECMR will put in money, 1 crore, 4 crores, 8 crores. If your idea is good, even if nobody believes you, you can get funding. And it is totally ambitious. It is even audacious. You can still get funding if you are serious about doing it. And that First in the World scheme was very useful and is very useful to give that message. And I am very happy with that, because now so many people are applying for that grant to say we can compete, we can be the best in the world. And that is the kind of confidence we will need, because unless we think we will do something, we won't. So similarly, here, our message to the institutions that are top in the country, they are in the top 10 NIRF ranked institutions in the country. However, our message to them is that you need to do better globally, because even our best is not in the top 100 in, let's say, research rankings. So we cannot fund or change the parts of global rankings, that university rankings, which are related to academics. We cannot change what is related to clinical care, or what is related to their social presence or other, and their students' choices and other. We can't change that. What we can attempt to fund or to support is the research part, that they now think about doing research which is different from the usual, which is different, which will actually increase their global ranking. What is that research? What kind of research will eventually improve global ranking? Not to say if I give 10 or 20 crores a year to an institution, that I can say, oh, now your global ranking has gone from 100, from 500 to 400 because of this money. No, I don't expect that. I expect that thinking about this, that they have to improve global ranking, will change the type of research projects they write for even other grants. That is the idea. And maybe the other institutions that are not even in this top 10 will also learn something from this. Also, even if you are not in the top 10 NIRF ranked institution, there will be one more incentive to be in high ranking institutions and do better. I'm not talking about manipulation, but at least, kind of doing things that move you towards that. So what we have done here is we simply have taken top 10 NIRF ranked institutions and asked them that what type of research, if we give you funds, what type of research do you think will take you through to the next level? And this could be high impact publications. It could be something that is a new idea that leads to patent or a technology, or more importantly, doing something that would have clinical impact or public health impact. And that type of research tends to also be accepted in high impact publications. So the institutions that are currently, which in previous year were in the top 10, include, as you all know, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, PGI Chandigarh, Christian Medical College Vellore, JIPMER Puducherry, Sanjay Gandhi PGI Lucknow, Banaras Hindu University, NIMHANS Bengaluru, King George Medical University Lucknow, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham Tamil Nadu, and Kasturba Manipal. So these 10 institutions, 3 of them are private or non-government, the remaining are government, are the ones that are only ones that are eligible for this. And they have two types of grants. They can get a grant size up to 8 crores. Can be, if it is small, we'll give them an intermediate Anveshan grant, small grant, or if it is between 2 and 8 crores, we'll give them the next grant. What is important that you should know beyond that? What we are going to do is to select only a small number of studies or small number of grants per institution, depending upon whether they are bigger ones or smaller ones. But we are not going to be able to fund more than 10 to 20 crores at best from each institution. And that means you have to be selective to fund from an institution. However, I'll just come to the issues before after giving you the information. It's a two-tier evaluation process. What we have received is already been filtered by the institution. So an institutional scientific mechanism has already happened. So for example, JIPMER, a committee in JIPMER under the director JIPMER has already looked at all these proposals, not these, they must have received a bigger number of proposals and have only finally forwarded to ICMR the ones that they feel are absolutely required. But we ask them to give us at least 3 to 5 times more than what we will be able to fund. So what they have given us is proposals up to 50 crores, but we have to select only, let's say, 1/5, 20% of them at best. I would keep 20% would be 10 crores. So between 20-30% will be something that eventually we'll select, but it will not be that they must be selected. But overall, I'm talking about we it will be, because it is two-step, it is not the same. Normally in intermediate grant, our success rate is close to 4 to 5% only. Here it will be much larger. It may be 20 to 30%, I think. And this part is the second part where you are helping ICMR by doing this. If I look at major international rankings like QS rankings, the part related to research is citations, H index, international research, which may not be relevant to us. We are not here funding something, but if they have a connection with international network, it might help in the ranking. Times Higher Education talks about quality of research, talks about industry relevant or link with industry in terms of transfer of technology, etc. Shanghai ranking talks about research output, quality, and impact. Top journal publications, international collaboration, etc. So more or less the same. US news, best global universities, bibliometric, which is your H index, etc., citations, reputation, but not necessarily output. Schimago rankings, research publications, innovations, and societal impact of these. CWTS Leiden ranking talks about highly cited publications, scientific impact, collaboration, open access, etc. Now, this is the information piece, but the rest I want to talk to you is about your role. Firstly, we understand that some of you may be from these top 10 institutions, but you will not look at your own institution. You will look at other proposals that are not from your institution. Secondly, you may be from an institution that is not even in the top 10. And that should not bother you because it is an institutional selection. You shouldn't say that, okay, why has been selected and we are not there. And I would request you not to have any kind of negativity just because your institution is not yet into this. If it succeeds, next year we might consider making it 20 institutions instead of 10, or in maybe a few years, it could be top 100 institutions or top 50 institutions. We don't know. It's an experiment at this moment. And the success of that experiment will also depend partly on what you evaluate. So therefore, if you evaluate well, it might be a solution rather than an issue. Two things happen when such, which is my experience, when you'd want to do something special, something which you are talking about, like for the creamy layer, you want to do something which is one issue is that a lot of people will get upset about that and say, why are we giving more to the ones who have more? That is a philosophical question. It's a very small amount of there is the total budget of ICMR extramural is now 1800 crores a year. This may be what 100 crores a year, 1 out of 18. It is very little in that sense. Please don't get into those kind of issues that where why should they get more? If we have that, then we get colored by the issue that no, that is not the question to ask. The question is, and it is not about then saying, sometimes it happens is, oh, so they are super. What is super about this? Nothing is super about what I am seeing. So nothing is fundable. Everything should get 30 out of 100 marks. Right? So my request to you is please don't look at that in this way. Please look at it from the perspective that is it likely to result in a high impact publication? Which means, let's say, for at least a impact factor 5 journal, if it is specialty project, if it's a general kind of project, of course, maybe 10, or ideally something you will, if you have to put it in order of ranking, something that you think could be submitted if the results were, if the study could be completed well, if they could be submitted to New England Journal of Medicine or Lancet or BMJ or JAMA, of course, that would give higher prevalence, higher preference. Otherwise, something which will go into a 10 plus journal, something that goes to science, nature, etc. Of course, highest level. Otherwise, something which at least, but not a riffraff type of publication, something you feel, even if they do well in this research, they are not going to get a high impact paper. Now, impact factor is not the best or the only way to look at it. But still, that is one criteria, one of the criteria. And I'm just listing to you the criteria that I have laid out in a paper that I have published in Indian Journal of Medical Research called the publication equivalent, the ICMR IRIS scale. If we will share with you the link, if you want to read it, please do. You can at least see how I have written it. The thought process behind it is high impact publication is one part of this innovation impact. The second is, which is even more, so where in which in this IRIS scale, we have a publication equivalent where one primary research paper published in a peer-reviewed journal receives one publication equivalent. It has to be primary research or a systematic review or a methods paper. It's published primary research, it gets one publication equivalent. But to get extra publication equivalents, it must be something which has either high impact factor and eventually after a few years high citations. But citations will not come immediately, so we've given both options and you get 2 extra. So which means one paper is equal to 3. But one paper is equal to 11 if, or 1 plus 3 plus 11 if it is also published in, so it's equal to 3 plus 11, 14. If it has clinical impact, if it changes clinical practice, clinical care guidelines, national or international, and it is referenced there, then yes. The third thing is public health impact, which means it changes national policy or strategy or program, and it is referenced in that change of strategy. You can prove it, we can see it, then it gets 10 extra. So a paper which is published in, let's say, New England Journal of Medicine and has changed national or international guidelines would total get 3 plus 10, 13 publication equivalents, one single paper. So which basically, in other words, means it's equal to 13 publications. So here what we will look for is, is it likely to result in publications that will be published in high impact journals, and more important, if it can change clinical practice or public health guidelines. If it does, you give higher score. If it doesn't, don't give. No, it is not only about curiosity. The next thing is, if it is likely to result in an innovation, something fresh, something new. I would say if something is going to get into science, nature, this you treat it as 10, not as 2, because then in basic science we don't necessarily are going to convert to innovation today. But if you think it has the potential to go into science, nature, cell like journals, then you consider it as huge scientific impact, and you can take that as even a PE of 10, even though it is not published like that. Then comes the question of innovation. If it is likely, the project that they are proposing is likely to result in some innovation that can be converted to technology that can be given to an industry. If you file a patent, you get, or granted patent would get 5. So think, can there be a patent on this? Yes, it's likely. No, the likelihood is not 100%. Likelihood is not only 50%. Maybe it is a 20% likelihood that there will be a patent. Then you say, yes, there is a reasonable likelihood of a new patent being given or a technology being developed. Then we give 10. And if it is commercialized, we give 20. So if you think, yes, there is huge potential, you could actually give it a higher rating. So one question is this question of merit looked at from a perspective of, and it will include other things like originality, novelty, because you don't think that these, if a paper would be published by a very high impact journal, would only be if it was novel, if the finding was something that was other people want to know, etc. That is the part that is probably the most important. Two parts. The second part is ranking, and as I said, in ranking it is the same things: high citation, high impact publications, innovations, social impact, all those things. I'm not sure if it's going to be any different. But the second part is also important, which is that is the team, the expertise of the group that is presenting it, is able to do what they write. Now, in today's world, that is very important, because people can go and make a proposal. Previously also they could do it. They could go to someone and ask them to write, or take people's this thing. Today with AI, it is even more easy to write a good proposal. Important thing is to also consider whether they will be able to do it. And the third thing is, of course, going to be relative, that we want you to simply score on these criteria. Here, I want to give this time very few criteria, only 2 criteria. One is the strength of the team, and maybe we will give it 20%, 30% credit. We will decide. The remaining should be, how many publication equivalents do you think that they are able to get? Probably the highest from one proposal could be several, maybe 20, 30, 40 also. But upfront, even if you cross 10, I would consider them as very high impact. So if the PE is going to be potentially more than 10, then you give them a very, very high score. We can even give grades, give them an A plus. If you think that it's going to be something between 5 and 10 publication equivalents, the second score, if it is going to be anything which is only 2 to 3 publication equivalents or less than 5, you give them a third score. So we don't want it to be, and if something is even more than likely to yield 20 or more, you give them a fourth score, exceptional. So we don't want to, 41 is 71, the other is 70. We want to see that you can actually, you decide which category it fits into. And again, the same thing about people's capacity. You can put them in 4 groups, A, B, C, D. But be discriminative, differentiate between the, and we can give a score based on that. Differentiate between teams. But please, 2 things will make it difficult for us. If you say all projects are excellent, then the committee is not, if you could not give us a ranking in terms of some scoring. So don't be so indiscriminate that you say all are good, or out of 10 projects, 7 are all have A plus in everything. The second problem is if you say everything is bad, okay, well, I am just a strict marker. That I don't think is a good idea. It's not about, kind of saying we live in a world that is art of the possible. I don't want that this is a project that only NIH RO1 can be given, only then I will give. I don't have such people, even in my top institutions. This is about sending people who are at 200 to maybe 150. It is not about saying somebody who is at world rank of 3 that we should be able to do the same thing. So please be generous, at the same time not completely this that you are not able to differentiate between the good, the bad, and the brilliant. It's very unlikely that all projects will be bad. Hopefully not. But the last thing I want to say, and then I'll finish, is that give suggestions to improve. Particularly if you are not completely throwing it off, if you're throwing it off, say this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, all things, bad things, so that we can communicate, right? But if you think it is in a moderate zone or high zone, even if you say it's brilliant, you have suggestions to improve, don't say, good, everything is great. If you have suggestions for further improvement, make your suggestions. We will give it them as suggestions, not that they must address them. So differentiate about your comments into 2 parts. One, comments that must be addressed. That this is, I don't understand sample size. Okay, this sample size may be inadequate. So redo. That is a mandatory addressing comment. But making some suggestion that, well, why, if you are going to do it, you could add this, or you could do this in this way, or you could change the method, or what. You can do this also, but this might be better. That you should give as suggestions for improvement, and differentiate the 2 things. One, where you are writing a comment where you want them to address, so that you can evaluate, or we can evaluate whether the project is improved, is what we are unsure about the project. And the second is, what they have done is okay, but if they could do this, it would add value. So differentiate your comments. But that's my last point. So thank you very much. Dr. Taruna will explain how you can ask any questions. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. It was very
illustrative presentation from you, and I think very few questions I have received on the WhatsApp chat box. So one query is, if the proposals are coming with integrative medicine streams like Ayurveda or yoga, should we go ahead?
My suggestion on that in general is the following, that I do not want to fund anything from ICMR in integrative medicine that is done without the Ayush Ministry. If you feel that this could be very good, we will get it evaluated from the Ayush side, because I have no expertise. I don't think you have any expertise to know if the yoga that they are suggesting is appropriate yoga. You have no idea to say whether that Ayurvedic medicine that they are suggesting, what are the side effects, what happens. We have no clue. So I do not think we should directly fund these. But if you think something is absolutely brilliant, you indicate that, and I will get it evaluated from the Ayush secretary. We'll send to them and ask, what is this? Usually they are very discreet. They only want to support what is truly a question that they have, and where they think it is safe and is possible to integrate, etc. So we do not have that expertise. I do not want to ask you to do that. So, but do indicate and say would be helpful to get a review. Then we will get it. Any other question?
Sir, other things are all congratulations for this new scheme, and everyone thinks that it will bring visible, significant changes. And
My idea of change, please understand, is not that it will bring change in 1 year, but this injection of 10 crores a year, let's say, if it continues for another 20 years, it's something to look forward to. And whatever those who will not get into this scheme may get into other schemes of ICMR or DBT or DST, NRF, others. It just gets you thinking that we need to do this. We need to do research, which is when I told them, I said, I want that research that usually you do not, kind of do in usual grants. But sometimes ideas are there. You can say, ये तो intermediate में भी होता है. We can also fund it as an intermediate grant. Why should we fund it here? Then you will not be able to fund anything, because people are the same. They may have, may have funded already some of these in intermediate grants, but will not repeat. We will not fund what we have already funded. We need to be sure. We will check that it is not already funded, etc. But importantly, please do look at this side, that don't go either way easily. You see, if we can be free of bias, please do not bring this that, okay, this proposal seems to me to be somewhere who is my colleague, my group, my friend. These things then will result in failure of the program. And once the program doesn't do well, it is not good for anybody.
Another one is, can we encourage collaborations if perceived to be synergistic with other non-top 10 institutions and organizations?
The answer is yes, but only as a suggestion. As I said, please separate suggestions from mandatory changes. If you are asking that take new people, collaborate with X institution, can only be a suggestion. Even I cannot tell people that work. I generally refrain. ICMR usually comes and my people say, oh, they should work, they should combine the project. I said, how do I know that they don't like each other? They can work with each other. They can actually, we can't force people to do certain things. We should leave it, because collaborations require a lot of effort. And first thing is conviction. that I can work with Nisha, right? If I don't have that conviction and I say, then whoever forces me, eventually I'll end up proving that we can't work together. So there has to be such deep uh, reason for us to collaborate. Now, when you are married to somebody at that point, you have such a great commitment that you have to collaborate with your spouse. Which you see today is weakening. Therefore, young people are that kind of divorcing left, right, and center. But previously, that commitment binds you to saying we'll do our utmost so that our families don't suffer, our children don't suffer, and so on, right? We will adjust, we will work together. But once you come and say, मेरे को कैसे शादी कर दिया मेरा जबरदस्ती, so then you tend to, kind of start off on a wrong foot. So we are not forcing people, but we are giving them a suggestion.
One question is, sir, do we want to encourage foray into newer domains of a group which has a strong record, or prioritize proposals that build on the current strength of the investigators?
The point is, we are not going to be able to go back to them and say, change the project completely, because they have written the project. You are reviewing it. This we could say, yes, it is about what you choose. What I would say is, don't choose by what that group is. Choose by the fact that what will it do to the reputation, the ranking of the institution. As I said, it may not change the ranking even by 0.1, right? But it should be in the right direction. That what we are saying is, if they do this type of research, it will add rank or is likely to add rank. It is like saying to a child who's preparing for NEET that if you do organic chemistry or inorganic chemistry hybridization table of structures, all the hybridization, there are these 20 types of hybridization, it is likely that you will have at least one question in your, but if it doesn't come, he can't come back to you and say, why did you ask me to read this? I didn't. What we are saying is, it is likely to be something that will improve their ranking. And that is what we are saying, right? But I will not say it for every table. I will say, I know from experience that the hybridization is extremely important. And they keep on asking this, is it this hybridization? How does it look? What is the geometric structure in chemistry? That is the usual question, right? And maybe 6 out of 10 papers will have at least one question on hybridization, sometimes more. So it is important. It is more important than. So here, whatever is more likely, there is a chance you go for that. But we won't have the chance to go and tell people आपका objective change कर दीजिए पूरा का पूरा, ये मत study कीजिए, don't study this, study something else. That would be a bit preposterous from both ICMR side and from the reviewer side. So please understand that you are, as a reviewer, essentially acting as ICMR, right? You are because we don't have all the internal expertise. We are seeking your expertise. But when you sit in a committee, forget that you belong to which institution, which aims, which what. Think that you are ICMR. You are helping the government of India. You are helping the Indian institution that funds research to make the right decisions about investment. Because if we make wrong investment just because you think like you are AIMS or you are PGI or you are, whatever institute you come from, then you will make a decision which is good for your institution, not necessarily for research in India. And the Indian Council of Medical Research goal is to promote best research in the country, no matter. In fact, this is something which we should tell every single reviewer, that you in this committee, when you sit here, you are ICMR. You are doing it on behalf of ICMR you think like ICMR, you think as if this investment has been entrusted to you to give, what would you do? But both types of people, again, I will repeat, if you are of the type who doesn't like to give anybody more than 4 on 10, or you are of the type who doesn't like to give anybody less than 8 out of 10, reconsider, because other people are not doing that, right? So if it is good, when we were students, nobody would get 100 out of 100 on any question. When my parents were students, nobody would get more than 60. They said, first division to de diya, what else do you need? How can anybody get more than 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10? When we were students, we could get 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, and 9.5 sometimes. But in a written question, nobody would write 10 by 10, long question. Today, teachers are encouraged, look objectively. If it is really good, give 10 out of 10. Not that it makes a big difference in hierarchy, but we should be, and we should treat everybody the same. But here, one person is giving everyone 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. Other is giving 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10. So those other people have advantage, right? If we all decide that we will, this is our range will be between, I like my range when I give a score to be between 1 and 10. If it is brilliant, I'll give 10. If it is very bad, I'll give 1 or 2. Okay, I don't like to give anybody less than 2 out of 10, maybe not 0, but my range is 2 out of 2 and 10. You look at your own range when you score. Is your range 2 to 10? Is your range 7 to 9? Is it 4 to 7? And if it is too narrow, widen it. That's my request. Because I know of people who would be extremely reluctant. Their range is maybe 1 to 5. And then another person's range is 5 to 10. Now it is then a lottery, whether you go to reviewer A or reviewer B. And we will have 2 reviewers, but then the averages and everything gets down. Also, there is a committee. The committee should not just ratify, oh yeah, how can I say Dr. Taruna Madan is such a senior person, she has scored at 7 or 5 out of 10, but all of us think it should be 8 out of 10. How can we go against reviewer? You can. That is the purpose of the committee, that you can all say our consensus is not 5 and 7. Somebody has given 8, somebody has given 5. One option is okay, average is 6.5. But you can say, no, madam, we don't agree with you. All of us think that, and if majority think that it should be a score of 8 or 8.5, yes, go ahead. So use discretion, judgment, wisdom, but with the view of protecting the investment of the people of India. You are also a person of India. I give, when I give this, my income tax statement this month, it really hurts you to see how many lakhs of money has been cut out of our, and we have to give more out of whatever. Then we have to give 50,000 or 1 lakh more than what has been deducted. And all this is our money. And more than us, we are still lucky we can pay, but it is poor people's money. It is actually that we are not only giving income tax, everybody is paying GST on everything, from the poorest to the richest. We are giving GST. All this money that we are spending on research comes from the same GST and the same income tax and the same other taxes. All this is people's money. And it can be alternatively spent on people's welfare, on schools, buildings, on hospitals, rather than research. It can be spent on giving people food. It can be spent on giving people homes. It can be spent on anything. But we think that this investment is good for the people of India. And that is what ICMR believes in. Please don't think narrower than that. If it is good for people of India, if it achieves the objectives of the scheme, we want India to be proud that there are more institutions in top level ranked, rankings in the world. China has already displaced half of the global institutions from top 10 lists. You look at what they have done. Now, maybe we can't go to top 10, but at least now, yet. But and this may be a small contribution, but it should make people think.
True, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, we have given a different scoring for the scheme today. So they are asking that the subjective scoring, which has been enumerated in your presentation,
Yeah.
that should be shared.
We will review the scoring and we will
Yeah,
give
we
you
will
a
give you-
score sheet
Yes.
to all of you. I think we should score it slightly differently. We
Yes.
should also experiment on this scoring, given that these are all high-ranking institutions. Let us try to develop a slightly different score, and maybe later we can even see if it is good for the other scoring. Numerical bhi ho sakta hai, but we will see. We'll send it to you. We'll discuss. I haven't fully discussed in the team. We had a initial discussion, but we will finalize and we'll
Sure,
send.
we'll find. So the suggestion is we should lay more stress on clinical conundrums like deduction and functional MRI, stress and its assessment in metabolic syndromes, saturated versus non-saturated fats and fatty liver disease. Why they have listed this is these basic concepts are more appealing for the high impact journal.
Yeah, you decide what is appealing. It is good, yes. Whatever. I don't think when I ask people research questions, they give me all sorts of research questions. I then don't ask them about that. I say, tell me what is your clinical problem? What is your problem in public health? You say, okay, I have been using iron folic acid for past 50 years and I can't get rid of anemia. Therefore, that my research question is this, all right? Unless it addresses an important public health or clinical problem. You are calling it a conundrum, but it could be something new, it could be something different, it may not be, it could be a controversy, it could be something that could have impact that we are not using it for impact. But please don't go with a set mindset that only the conundrums will be funded, but you say what exactly you are saying. If it is a question that the clinicians want to know the answer, or the public health people want to know the answer to, that my mentor was Dr. Ban. He used to tell me, write the title of the NEJM paper from this project. NEJM paper. At that time, NEJM was the highest impact factor journal. He said, less than 8 words, NEJM paper, and it should be something that the world is dying to know the answer to that question. Unless it is that you are wasting your time as a researcher. You are wasting your time because it's an opportunity cost. I don't think you can hold every project to that high standard, but it is a way to encourage people, young people, to think like that. I had never written a paper or even thought about ever publishing in NEJM. Eventually, I ended up publishing 3 NEJM papers and maybe 7 Lancet papers. But you start from there, then it is a different mindset. But that is for encouragement. That is not for evaluation.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So I am saying, yes, you are right. This type of questions, but not only
This day.
clinical conundrum.
Right.
Because then you will start rejecting everything else that this doesn't have. It could be a public health question. It could be a scientific question that nobody knows the answer to. Because these institutions also have non-clinicians. We are not only going to fund clinical research, we are funding some biomedical, basic, translational, whatever. You have to evaluate based on what they have proposed rather than it's not about telling them what they should do.
The two last queries. One thing is they want to understand what is this budget range 20 lakh to 2 crores or 2 to 8 crores. This is coming from.
There is nothing for you. You only tell us what the project is good or not,
Yes.
and is the budget what they are asking is appropriate or not. This is for us. This range page is for us. Our people, they are very happy to say this to you. But essentially, for this project, these projects, they will decide whether it goes into one category or the other. Our funding instruments are only two: Anveshan small grant and Nischay Convention intermediate grant. That is for us. Don't worry about it.
Is the funding restricted to top NIRF institutes
Yes.
only? Will a collaborating PI from a non-NIRF institute receive funding?
Not from us, but if they decide that some money is to be given, it is for the PI to decide and for the institute to decide. We will not obstruct. If they say they want to go to, let's say, Maulana Azad Medical College and do collaboration with them and some money will go to them, sure, no problem. The money is not restricted. The leadership of these projects is restricted. The PI must be from there. The rest is possible for them as long as they agree. They want to do it, not only agree.
Sir, unrelated question. If this scheme gets successful, can we introduce this for top 10 engineering institutions who are doing medical research?
Yes, of course. But, as I'm saying, there are experiments to do, to find out, to fund. There are several schemes actually, like ANRF does it, and most of it is to the engineering institutions because they are the top NIRF ranked institutions in the country anyway. So they do 25, top 25 NIRF ranked institutions for so many different things. But in that top 25, only two medical institutions come. One is AIIMS, and I think one is JIPMA. Other than that, no other institution is there in the top 25. So sometimes only one institution, only AIIMS will be there some year, some year, some year. So that is why we are not thinking about engineering. I'm thinking about medical institutions because that I was not very happy that the only one institute can apply for those ANRF Maha grants and all. Others are all IITs, IISCs.
Top 25 NIRF ranked universities and institutions for medical devices for Center for Advanced
Yes,
Research.
in medical devices, we have done that.
Yes.
Where we have biomedical devices, Nirman scheme, we have only allowed 25 NIRF ranked institutions in the country, which is not medical only, right? Medical, non-medical. So you have other avenues, but we also include where necessary. When we wanted the device, we only restricted to top 25 institutions. They will get grants for this purpose.
So the last one, should we particularly encourage multidisciplinary teams?
I would worry less about process. I would more worry about outcome. So if you think that, okay, suppose there is one brilliant person and he's or she is suggesting something that could be, why do I want to make it multidisciplinary? If it cannot be achieved without multidisciplinary approach, and they are saying they will do it, and you think you could not, it's a great idea, everything is good, then yes. But don't make it like it depends whether it is required or not. Sometimes may not be required because the PI alone may have a multidisciplinary team within their own unit with their project staff and their own staff. I think you should evaluate it based on what people they have and what they are proposing. And you can either give that as a mandate. If suppose somebody says every project should have one statistician faculty, one bioinformatics faculty, one basic science faculty, one intermediate science, one at least 3 clinical program, nothing will happen. We will create a 100 people committee for every project. We are not saying that, but in general, I totally agree that multidisciplinary teams may be more effective, but it depends. Somebody wants to do
What
something which
what
is
are they
possible.
aiming for?
Yeah, you look at it from that perspective.
All good, sir. Uh,
Okay.
Mr. Sada.
No further.
If there are no further questions, I'd like to thank all of you. Remain generous but discriminative. Remain completely unbiased. Represent the people of India and through ICMR, not institutions, not individual likings. Take decisions which are good for this country and would be good for these institutions to become global leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
बंद कर दूं
बंद
म्यूट कर दूं
कर दीजिए हो गया सर